Okay, I've tried to work out the whole theory on Jai Opetaia, Zuffa Boxing, where it's going, where it could lead, what path is this going to be for Jai Opetaia, and there's a lot of contradictions, but there's only contradictions if you listen to Dana White. Take Dana White and what he says out of the equation, then it's a lot clearer. So I'm going to ignore a lot of the stuff that Dana White says, because there are a lot of contradictions. Ignore some of that, because I think he's trying to dodge some of the questions and trying to keep some of his cards close to his chest, and also not own up that he has to work with the sanctioning bodies and admitting that he has to do that. So let's just ignore that and work out a theory. Let's dive in. Okay, we've finally seen the Zuffa Boxing first. Zuffa Boxing 01, I think they're calling it, ZB1. Like UFC 1, UFC 2, so they have that sort of same name in terms of numbers for each promotional event for the Zuffa League. And it also looks a lot like UFC as well in terms of having the Zuffa brand everywhere, no promotional stuff for the fighters, no individual promotional stuff for the fighters. So it's very controlled. It's a league. So I guess that's what you expect if you have any type of sport or league. It's going to be very controlled in terms of what sponsorships can be displayed. But even then, some brands of sports, or a lot of brands of sports, you can have other promotional companies displayed, but I guess it's a UFC thing, so it's very tight knit and they want to control where that money goes. So, which means it's more for the Zuffa brand and more of a paycheck for the Zuffa Boxing if they do become big, just like the UFC. Anyway, with that aside, that's not what I'm talking about. What I want to discuss is Zuffa and the signing of Opetaia, and my theory of where this could potentially lead and how they plan to work Opetaia into their league and try and make that league bigger, faster. So we've seen Opetaia in an interview, I think it was at Zuffa, the boxing event, the Zuffa ZB01 or ZB1, and even other interviews after that as well. And I think he might have spilled the beans maybe in terms of him fighting on the 8th of March, not mentioning an opponent, but still mentioning that he is fighting, because I think Dana White was kind of caught off guard when he was asked in the post-fight interviews, Opetaia is fighting on the 8th of March.
Curious, Jai Opetaia was here. He said he's going to be fighting here on March 8th. Can you confirm that?
Possibly.
But we also seen Opetaia face off with Mikaelian. If you put two and two together, you can kind of figure out who his opponent's going to be, because that's what Opetaia is chasing. We all know that Opetaia is chasing unification, undisputed. So for the Zuffa promotional company not to offer that and not to try and gain that type of fight, then it doesn't make sense for Opetaia wanting to sign with the Zuffa brand. Yep, money is a big thing, but we all know for Opetaia, it's about the belts, it's about the unification, it's about the undisputed. So I think that was a selling point. We'll get you the unification bout, and that's obviously what they're chasing. I think they're saying that they're not mentioning an opponent at the moment, but the writing is kind of on the wall, and I think that it will be his next opponent, Mikaelian, and that'll be a unification bout. The 8th of March, I'm assuming that's it. Otherwise, why are you having a face-off? It makes no sense. It's the next opponent. It's the next fight that probably should happen, considering we have David Benavidez fighting Ramirez on the 2nd of May, I believe. So that's kind of off the table at the moment. So you fight the next one with the belt, Mikaelian. So then we look at the possible opponent. If Opetaia passes Mikaelian, who's the next opponent? Obviously, it's going to be the winner of Benavidez and Ramirez, considering, well, if they can get that deal done, because it's been hard for Opetaia to try and get that deal with Ramirez. But I think that Zuffa Boxing would presume that Benavidez wins that fight. I think Benavidez is probably the likely favorite in that fight, and I think they're going to likely be targeting Benavidez and wanting him, if he gains those two belts, wanting him to stay up in the cruiserweight division and try and get a deal done to fight Opetaia, because I think Benavidez is more of a likely opponent to say yes to that fight than Ramirez, because Ramirez has already dodged Opetaia multiple times. So I think that's probably the likely plan. And even if Ramirez wins that fight, I think they're still going to try and target Ramirez to fight Opetaia. And noting Turki Al-Sheikh is backing Zuffa Boxing and the Zuffa brand, and Turki Al-Sheikh wants to see the big fights, I think that could possibly happen, because I think Ramirez has dodged Opetaia because the money's not enough. And Benavidez is a bigger paycheck. So he's getting that big paycheck, and if he wins, I'll fight Opetaia now. I'm coming to the end of my career. I'll probably make a decent amount now at this point in time, especially if Opetaia, considering he beats Mikhailian, that's undisputed championship titles. It's a better payday. So Ramirez would have a payday with Benavidez and then a payday with Opetaia. So even if he loses against Opetaia, right off into the sunset, retire, job done. And I think ultimately for Zuffa, the Zuffa brand, the Zuffa promotional company, I think they're targeting lineal champions. They're targeting that champion that holds that lineal title. And who holds that lineal championship? It's Jai Opetaia. With Jai Opetaia holding that lineal championship, that means he's the man to beat. If all goes to plan and Jai Opetaia doesn't lose, then I think you see Jai Opetaia beating Mikhailian, you see Jai Opetaia winning against, I know it's going to be a tough ask winning against Benavidez. I think that'll be a really good fight, and I don't know which way that one goes, but I think against Ramirez, I think Opetaia edges that one out. But if all goes to plan and Opetaia becomes undisputed champion, I think they have him fight for the Zuffa belt. I think that's when they release that Zuffa title and start putting that Zuffa belt and Zuffa brand into the actual boxing realm. So I kind of would assume that would be the plan, putting on my thinking cap and looking at a theory. But there's more to it than that, because as I mentioned, they're targeting the lineal champions. And who have they targeted lately? Usyk. So they want to be a promotional brand behind Usyk for, I think, assuming his next couple of fights. So, and noting that Jai Opetaia, considering all things go to plan and he doesn't lose, is looking at moving up into the heavyweight division. And I think his plan would be to do that after he becomes undisputed champion in the cruiserweight division. And then that would kind of line him up to potentially fight a fighter like Usyk, because you'd have a cruiserweight undisputed champion fighting a former cruiserweight undisputed champion, both moving up. And I think that would be a massive selling point. Imagine having Usyk and Opetaia fighting for the first heavyweight Zuffa championship title, and you have a lineal cruiserweight champion fighting a heavyweight lineal champion. That would be massive, and that would speak volumes for the brand of the Zuffa Boxing. All of the stars need to align for this theory to work out. Maybe I'm assuming this could be a plan for Zuffa Boxing, and if it all pans out, then they've done a genius move, and they're gonna move that Zuffa brand in the boxing world a lot quicker than they would from just starting from the lower tier fighters and trying to build them up to those lineal chip champions, because they've Dana White, okay, ignoring what Dana White says, he's already said he won't work with the belts, but considering they have signed Opetaia, they have no choice. And I'm assuming they've already done a deal that they have to stick with the promise of giving Jai the chance to win unification titles and undisputed classification in the cruiserweight division. So that would have been a selling point for them to actually gain Opetaia in their promotional company. So regardless of what Dana White says, they have to work with the sanctioning bodies initially to actually start their brand faster, to actually make their league take off faster. And this would be the ultimate plan if it all worked out. And if Jai Opetaia continues on his winning streak and is able to be in that undisputed title classification as the cruiserweight champion, all the stars align, they're able to get Usyk, which I think is another massive challenge. I don't know if Usyk's gonna come over. I think they need the backing of Turki Al-Sheikh and the money from Turki Al-Sheikh. And I think if Jai Opetaia is the cruiserweight undisputed champion, that would be more of a selling point for Usyk to fight him, because if Usyk beats a cruiserweight undisputed champion like Jai Opetaia, if he is able to gain that status, then that is just setting Usyk's legacy, and he would be the first person, if he beats Jai Opetaia, he'd be the first person to win the heavyweight Zuffa Boxing title. So, and that's the same for Opetaia. But that selling point for Usyk, I think that would be the selling point. You could be the first. Zuffa's going to be a big brand. You could be this first Zuffa champion, the first heavyweight Zuffa champion. So that to me would be a selling point. And then obviously with the backing of Turki Al-Sheikh throwing money at it, I think that's the only way you're going to get over the line. But just a theory, that could be a potential path for the Zuffa brand for Jai Opetaia, and maybe roping Usyk in if all the stars align and Opetaia is able to pass some tough challenges, especially if he has to fight Benavidez. I don't know who wins that one. That's a tough one, but that's one for another video if it does occur. Anyway, just wanted to throw this theory out there. It's just a theory, might go down. Stars have to align. Jai has to win. He has to keep on winning for this to actually occur. That's if it is even their plan. They might have a completely different plan, and I could be completely wrong. Definitely not the first time. Anyway, as always, let me know what your thoughts are. What are your theories? How do you think this is going to pan out? Let me know below, and until next time, peace out.
Myths in boxing, highlight reels mean. Front row seats to the blow by blow scene.